Hello and welcome to the US Soccer Podcast presented by Henkel. My name is Meghan Klingenberg. So if you're new here, this is how I try to explain the show to people when I bump into them at a coffee shop, out in the wild. We're sort of building the Smithsonian of US soccer. We've talked to legends you probably know, like Landon Donovan, Kristen Press, Alyssa Nair, but we also introduce you to people that perhaps you haven't heard of, like Alessandro Canale, the beach soccer star who has more World Cup goals than Pele. Today, we unveil a new exhibit for our Smithsonian of Soccer. Reigning NWSL Coach of the Year, Bev Yanez. And reign is actually an apt pun for her because Bev had a decorated career as a player. She represented teams in Finland, Japan, and here in the US, where she played for the Seattle Reign. Now you're getting it. And won the Supporter Shield not once, but twice. Bev was a forward, and I played against her a few times and can confirm that she was a really excellent soccer player, super smart, incredibly technical, and was always super good in tight spaces. After Bev's playing career ended, she started coaching, first as an assistant before stepping up to become Racing Louisville's head coach in 2023. Last year, she led the team to their first ever playoff appearance and was named Coach of the Year, appropriately so. I spoke to Bev about her coaching philosophy, how her time in Japan influenced her, and how she uses psychological profiles to help build her teams, which I am quite happy that they never did a psych profile on me during my time in my career, because I think that maybe would have cut it short. And finally, we talked about what lies ahead for a coach who I think is going to do incredible things. And that's not all. I will also be checking in with my co-host and Philly Union captain Ale Bedoya to see how his preseason preparations are going and find out who he thinks the top teams in the MLS will be this year. But let's get this going. Bev Yanez up first.
The US Soccer Podcast is presented by Henkel. Whether it's bold style, fresh gear at home, clean sheets on the pitch, or performance that holds strong when it matters most, Henkel's family of brands supports fans and athletes on the road to glory this summer.
Hi, Bev. Welcome to the show. And before we get into it, I want to tell a quick story about you. We've played against each other many times, and it was always a delight. And I wouldn't say that about many players, by the way. Truly a delight. I remember one time when I was on the Houston Dash, and you were playing, I think, for the Seattle Reign. You said mid-game, and this is a direct quote, that I was such a great defender and really hard to get by. I was like, who is this angel that just gives out compliments during a heated rivalry? Or am I being played? Is she like trying to get in my head and then just blows past me? Does she want me thinking about this right now in the middle of the match? But it turns out Bev's just genuinely that kind. Do you remember that?
You know what? I have to admit, I've heard now a few stories like this, and I'm like, wow, I really did that like mid-game, but I don't recall it. But I feel like that's genuinely me. If I can't get by you, I'm like, damn, okay, I'm doing everything I possibly can. You are like, you're something. But multiple people have told me I thought you were messing with me. Like I didn't know how to take it. It got in my head, and I'm thinking, oh wow, it totally went a completely different way than obviously what I was meaning at the time.
That is so funny. I was wondering that actually. And certainly that is not my interaction with any other players in the NWSL. And I'm sure that they would say that I was not a delight to play against. So that is truly a compliment. And I wanted to start out there. Are there any things that you miss about being a player?
No, I feel like, when I did this original transition to becoming an assistant coach in this league, I think a lot of people were asking, like, are you going to miss it? Like being around it in a different role? Is it not just going to like eat you alive? And I feel so at peace and was so ready for that next phase of my life. And I knew once I put the boots up, I wanted it to be the next journey. And obviously I wanted that to be in coaching. So I never carried like the what if with me. When I was done, I was genuinely done. And I had such a want and a need and a passion to just help educate, help support, help be a part of, players' journeys and what it means in this league, where they're at in their careers. That became a bigger drive than anything that I could ever explain, that I had as a player. And obviously, so grateful for a career in this league and a playing career and the opportunity to also step away when I was ready. Right, not many people also get to say that, so I'm very grateful for that. But I definitely felt ready, prepared, and was ready for that next step.
That's a real blessing to be able to say, I'm ready for this. I want this. And I think you're right. Not many players get to do that. And I feel really thankful that I got to play as long as I did. It was such a blast. And now I'm having fun on the other side. But I think we have to go back to the beginning of where it all started. And one of those places was Japan, right? We see so many Japanese players coming to the NWSL these days. It's so cool. But you were one of the first ones to make the journey over there. I think you played for Kobe, is that right?
Yep, exactly.
And what enticed you to make that journey so far from home?
Yeah, I think at that time, and you obviously can relate on all these capacities because we're similar in age, is at that point the WPS had folded. So I was supposed to show up for preseason for Sky Blue FC at the time. And there will probably 2 weeks before it was about to start, I got a call from my agent and was like, the league is folded. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Outside the ability and understanding of I'm not gonna make money to get to do what I love. The bigger concern was like doing what I love. I had wanted this for so long and had trained so hard all off season to be prepared for that next opportunity. And so they said we have a preseason trip planned to Japan. We've already locked in the matches. We were not ready for this, but the tickets have already been bought. If there's a group that still wants to go and we can make a team to go, we'll go. And I said, well, the last thing I want to do is sit around and think about being jobless on top of not being able to play the game I love. I'll just play the game I love. And that turned out to be the most incredible, most inspiring moment of my life. I got there, played against INAC. And I remember being on the pitch, and obviously it was a mumble jumble of us players, a very talented group, but it was like we put the group together to play this team. And I remember looking over at the ref, like how much time's left. This group is just like, at that time, they had 7 Japanese national team players on their
wow.
roster. And it was just, I mean, we barely touched it, let's be honest. And I remember walking away and like, wow. After that, 4 of us, excuse me, got invited to training. And I said, I can't wait to see what they do, how they train. I just felt their technical and tactical understanding was like far beyond anything I could comprehend, let alone experienced growing up here. So that's where it all started. I got a year-long contract offer, called my fiance at the time. We had been dating since high school, so no one was shocked. I said, we're getting married because you can't come unless we go for the 90 days, and it's a year-long contract, and he was all for it. We were engaged for about 2 years at that time, so no one was
Wow.
shocked, and got married by paperwork and took off to Japan, and the rest was history. The inspiration that I received there, the way that the culture there, the people, the welcoming, the graciousness that they bring as a culture really bled into the football. And they would sit with me after training and show my magnet. My magnet had a face on it, thank God, right? And they would just move. I'm like, okay, do that, perfect. Okay, do this, perfect. But I went over there. I went over there as a midfielder. I went over there behind Ji Soyeon, Homare Sawa, and Shinobu Ono. The 2 played for Japan's national team at that time, and then of course G with South Korea. So I'm like, oh, I ain't breaking in here anytime soon, but I'm grateful to be here. And the 9 had tore her ACL. They asked me if I could play 9. I said I'm not sure, and the rest was history. I came back to the NWSL when Seattle Reign came to play against me, and ended up playing forward for a good chunk of my career when I came back. So but it was the inspiration. It kicked the thought process of like how many people feel similarly to me to come into a system and feel so far behind from an understanding. And that was when it started. I said, well, I actually love education. I also love building relationships with people. And I thought, well, could this be something? So I started getting my licenses while I was playing. I owned my own soccer coaching business to get experience and also make income because the league wasn't that long at that time. And that's it. I pursued that and knew that once the next chapter was, I was ready to end this one, that was what I wanted to do in the next chapter of my life.
That's so amazing. And I feel like the culture shock, not only on the field, but off the field, was probably something that you had to deal with as well. For me, I feel like if I was recruited to a Japanese club, I would have gone just purely based on the food scene there.
Mm.
Like, I think they're one of the top countries in the world with Michelin starred restaurants, and Tokyo might have the most in the world. How was that for you?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I'm glad that you appreciate the food there as much as I learned to. Yeah, when we first got there, I mean, obviously we couldn't read anything. A lot. It's hiragana, katakana, it's kanji. It's all things that, even if we could read out the letters and then try to understand it, we couldn't even read out the letters. So it was very challenging to be somewhere where you're like, I have no idea what to expect and I don't know much about the culture, but the people were incredibly inclusive. They were so welcoming. So excited for us to be there and experience their culture and experience their country that it was so seamless for us. I would go around to the train station. It's very big public transportation there. I mean, you can ride it anywhere. You can take the Shinkansen, the bullet train, all the way up to Tokyo. It's a very quick. We would travel as a team on the train. We wore
Wow.
suits. We sat in the train. It was bullet trains to wherever we needed to go to. And I remember like looking at, the stops, and someone would stop and ask me if I needed help. I'm like, wow, this is so touching. Like everyone's looking out for me all the time. And led to like us wanting, to explore and try the foods. It was very difficult at first to just, go to the grocery store. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what a lot of the foods were. But at that time, Naho Kawasumi was on the team and was an incredible cook. She was like the mom on the team and brought players over all the time and cooked the most amazing food. I mean, she would make sukiyaki, like really good winter dishes, and she'd cut like
Wow.
little flowers out of the top of the mushroom head, and just so diligent, so beautiful food, very tasteful food. And then I started to learn more about, oh wow, the food here is incredible. I mean, I still miss it all the time. I could still name all my favorite foods. I can't obviously speak Japanese as much as I used to, but I know all the foods names and I will never forget those. And it was just, we ate good. Um, we felt good. Honestly, I say it all the time. It was a place that I believed I could live for a really long time. It was just the time change, the 16-hour flight. By the time
Right.
I was going to bed, my family was getting up. It like the time was just so missed that I felt if I stayed for a really long time frame, I'd miss out on a lot of people that I cared about back home. But I still miss it in that way a lot. And I still genuinely believed I could have lived there for a very long time.
Bev has her priorities right. Family, soccer, food, in that order, I feel like. And honestly, I'm with you on that one.
Yep.
I feel like that might be the perfect hierarchy of values. So let's go from you being a player to a coach. You've been a player for a long time. Then you were an assistant coach. Now you're a head coach. When it came time to lead a team, how did you decide how you wanted your team to play? Where did your philosophy come from? And did a lot of it come from Japan?
Yeah, no, look, I guess I'll back up to your first question, which was what was it like? I was scared. Um, I I pride myself off of being somewhat of a vulnerable leader. I think there's a type of vulnerability. I think there's a time and a space for it. How vulnerable is too vulnerable? How not being vulnerable enough is not being vulnerable enough. But I pride myself off of like I would be lying if I said I didn't come in and feel like I had imposter syndrome. It's like, what am I doing? Can I do this? Will I be able to do this? Am I capable? But I don't think, and what I've learned very quickly in this industry is imposter syndrome never leaves. It's just through your
Mm.
experiences, you gain a bit more confidence in who you are and what you can bring to an environment, and that it continues to excite you and keeps you eager and hungry for the journey and to build the relationships with the players and the staff. So I was scared. I was terrified. I also heard in the process of like deciding, is this the next step for me? Someone told me that there's never a right time to become a head coach. You're going to learn through the trials and tribulations. You're going to learn through the experiences. And that's going to be the same in 8 years' time if you're lucky, to stay in this industry. So when I first stepped into it, I really felt that, and again, I'm hoping to ever evolve because we're asking the players to do the same thing. So I hope that reflection and that vulnerability always stays with me because I value that
Mm.
authenticity. But when I first stepped in, I was very eager to like show I knew football. Um, Very eager to be I wanted to be a football coach, right? I want to show them I know what I know. I want to show them, I want to work with them. I want to do all the small details and like, look, they're football players for a reason, right? They want to be
Mm-hmm.
coached, they want to be coached football. So in 2024, I'd say I focused so heavily on that and I lacked authenticity and building relationships with the players and the
Mm.
staff, authenticity in operating in who I was and understanding who I was as a leader, and felt that we prepared a bit more game to game than we did with a true core identity.
Mm.
Then having those game plans, of course, based around, what are their potential threats? How do we nullify them? But where can we take massive advantage of them, right? And so that was my focus coming into 2025 is how do I, at the end of season, I thought, okay, I'm going to take a pause here. I don't think I was good enough for the group in 2024. Okay. And I'm hopeful that they understand that, respect that, and I'm going to be better in 2025. But what is better? What is that next step? And how do I
Mm.
understand that? What is this city? The city is the city of Muhammad Ali, right? What did he do? Absolute legend. He would jockey around in the boxing ring, tire his opponent out, and then he'd strike. Okay, perfect. We're on to something here. What does it mean to be in this city, to be a part of this club, right? Blue collar work ethic, high mentality, strong work ethic. And I started to develop, okay, what kind of group what kind of group is here now, right? And what are the personalities in the group? And really focused on coming in to create um, a culture. And one of the big quotes that stuck with me in 2024 to 2025 and was women prefer to bond to battle, men prefer to battle to bond. Okay. And I'm sure that can go in different directions of course. And so one of my big things was how do I create more opportunities for this group to bond, and really put a culture in place that we all know when you prepare for something and you're like the right back's going to go high on the line, they're going to create a 3-2-5, and then you show up in the game, the center back stepping in and out, and you're like, wow, very different than what they've done the past two games, but they're trying something new today. So it was all about creating those principles and ideas that if the scenario changed from anything that we, of course, would work very diligently on to prepare, that the group felt confident in being able to execute in a scenario that maybe was different than what we projected it would be. But in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that, they needed a bond. And in order to do that, they needed to believe and they needed to have faith in what we could execute this year. So I focused a lot on that. And, look, there's only so much that we can do as a staff. And I've been very open and vulnerable about this. We have a group that's eager to learn. We have a group that's eager to be a part of it. We had a group that believed, and we had a good relationship with players to coaches that was very special. And I've gotten to see a lot of environments, of course, as a player and as a coach. And I think it's pretty clear when there's good culture, players can sniff it out very easily, very easily. And so I just tried. I tried to put things in place that I felt would get us in a position to enjoy coming to work. I mean, that's ultimately what we're here for, right? Whether you started at 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, you've always loved the game. You've always enjoyed it. Same thing as a coach. I want to enjoy it. I want to have fun. And it made the environment here. You wanted to show up. You wanted to be a part of it. And I'm hopeful that the players would say the same thing. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to make all the right decisions. And that's the reality. I'm not asking them to be perfect. What I'm asking is let's do everything we can on a very consistent basis to contribute to this group, to be successful as a group. And we're going to go through the ups and downs. But if we're together, we'll operate and navigate not too high, not too low. And we'll be able to manage that. So Look, it's been a learning process, but I hope that I say that in 10 years' time. I'm not afraid to tell people that I'm not perfect. I'm not afraid to tell people that I'm not the best head coach in the world, and that's the reality. I'm not. I don't fear that. It doesn't make me nervous or make me think that people will think less of me. I'm hopeful that players say I'm not where I could be, but I'm going to get there because I have a leader that says something similar. I'm just out here trying to do my absolute best, and I care about the people I work with. And that's the only thing I can put my head down at night and say, I'm giving it everything I have.
Well, Bev, I think you're doing pretty well. I mean, you did win Coach of the Year in 2025, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in 2026 as well. And I do want to talk about that, but a little bit later. While you were talking, it totally made me think, wow, it sounds like Bev thought she was getting into one thing, and then it turned out to be a totally different experience. If you had to break it down in the most simple terms of what percentage of your time is on the tactics board, showing the players what to do, and then what percentage of it is actually just managing the personalities on your team, how would you break it down?
I'd say in 2024, I split it 70-30, and I spent 70% of the time on tactics and really making them feel, from that perspective. And then I'd say 30% on the belief and the relationships. And I would say in 2025, I flipped the percentages. It was 70%
Mm.
belief, building the relationships, understanding what we wanted to accomplish. And then I believe it was 30% tactics. And, something I did a lot in 2025 that I'm hopeful to keep evolving and keep learning from was collaboration. I don't fear collaboration. I enjoy collaboration where it can be, meaning, here's some things we want to accomplish this season. How do you guys feel about it? Here's non-negotiables. Give me a subcategory to why this would be a non-negotiable. Get in groups of 4. Here's pen, here's paper. Tell me what being accountable means to you. What does it mean to you? Because it means something to everybody else differently. What does it mean to you personally, professionally? And then collecting all that and understanding this is the one word that's going to go under accountable that we've all agreed on, that
Mm-hmm.
believe is a part of our identity and something we want to hold each other to, but allowing them to be a part of that process. What I've realized is, when you say we're going to do this, how that's being processed versus this is what we're going to do. How do we feel about getting to that space? These are our ideas. These are our concepts. What does it mean to you guys? Allowing the players to collaborate, to feel they're a part of it and a deeper connection, I think was really important for me,
Mm-hmm.
to give them that platform. And I think in turn, I didn't know this in the beginning of season because you try something and you learn from it, right? That's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Is it created, in my opinion, a deeper buy-in that I was super grateful for. But again, it says a lot about the group, doesn't it? To be so open-minded and so willing to want to be a part of that. So that was definitely a technique that I had kind of tried to implement in 2025, and will try to evolve in 2026 with what that looks like.
The best teams that I've always been on have prioritized culture almost to the detriment of everything else. Tactics, technical ability, time being on the field, all those different things have come in second place to culture. So I feel like you might be on to something, Bev, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens in 2026. I am really curious, though, as a player that's played in the WPS, the NWSL, now is coaching in the NWSL, and this new generation of players, how has the game changed since you were a player, and where is it going in the future?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's just continuing to progress. Being able to witness and in some capacity be like 0.01% of what it looked like as a player to now a coach. Look, women's sports in general is continuing to progress. Women's football, women's soccer is continuing to progress at a rapid rate. And it's
Mm.
really exciting to be a part of the movement in a very small capacity is incredibly, is something I feel honored to witness in the way that I'm able to witness, but an honor to be a part of. I think it'll continue to move. I think it'll continue to go forward. It's only more exciting times ahead in reference to what it could look like. But yeah, and look, and obviously, I have a lot of respect for this league, and I and being a part of the league, and then getting to coach in my role now is something that I never take for granted, and something that I'm so grateful to be a part of.
Next summer, the world's biggest tournament comes to America. But long before first kick, the real work happens at home, where families are gearing up for game day. From the locker room to the laundry room, Henkel's trusted brands are fueling performance, strengthening bonds, and celebrating every clean sheet, every bold style, every repaired cleat, and every unstoppable moment. Because the game may be played on the field, but it's won in the everyday. Winning starts at home with Henkel's family of brands, including Persil laundry detergent, Got To Be hair care products, Dial soap, and Loctite adhesives. Proud partners of U.S. Soccer.
Let's get back to the coaching philosophy and soccer though. Suppose I'm on your team, which I don't know. I've been training. Maybe I could be, but I've had a run of bad games. My form has dipped. My confidence is totally in the gutter. I walk into your office for a chat. What are you going to say to me?
Yeah, look, and again, I'll preface this to you. This is not going to be a part of the conversation, but I'm not perfect. And I think taking care of myself to understand what the players' potential needs are. Do they need a pat on the back? Do they need potentially a little bit more of a lean in? Is really, really important to me. And I think what I've tried to do, and have very much so thrown the disclaimer out wherever I can because I'm not perfect at it, but I've tried a lot with the personality profiles. And so when a player wants to come chat, I review the personality profile. And what it essentially does is there's some visionaries in the group. There's some social components to the personality in the group. There's some organizational, and then there's like pace, the way at which and how you do things. And what I've tried to really understand is it's not necessarily about what I'm saying to the player for the player to understand me. It's about how I can speak it in a way for them, the way that it almost needs to be heard by them. And that's been a big part for me. If I've got someone that's a bit more of a long-term thinker and I know they want to chat and I'm coming in and I'm reviewing I need to explain to them what I see potentially further down to understand where they're at right now. Whereas there's a few players that want to understand the smaller processes and can get to the later idea a little bit further out, but need to know right now, where am I at? Right now, where am I at? Whereas others want to know what's your long-term vision with it, right? So I think it would just be reviewing that, understanding what type of communication is best. And again, I'm gonna get it wrong. I'm gonna nail it sometimes, and other times I'm not gonna nail it. That's just the reality. But I'm attempting to understand that player and the person a bit more to then tap into the football pieces. And honestly, I'm going to tell you that I've been working on me. There's been a lot of times in the past where I have a conversation with the player, and through that conversation, they speak and then I bite back. And then they speak and then I bite back. When I've tried a lot this year to be quiet, to just be quiet, let them explain themselves, let them continue, be very silent, and understand when the pause is long enough, it's now potentially my turn. And what I've understood from that is that the potential high emotion starts to go a little bit lower because it's not going back and forth and heightening. It's allowing them to speak. And now I'm sitting here and I'm waiting. And then as they speak, they're talking through it. And now when we go to meet and have the conversation, we're maybe in a better emotional space to have that conversation. So I've tried a lot of techniques to find how I can better speak to them and what their potential preferences are. And like I said, I'm going to get it wrong. And there's been, there's always tough conversations, and that's the reality of the industry. But I think if we could both walk away understanding that we're trying to do what's best for the team, that's what we're trying to do. So, and that's, of course, a big piece.
And for folks that are uninitiated, what the heck are personality profiles? How do they work? How do you use them? Is it like astrology signs where an Aries is talking to a Leo? Tell us more about that, please.
Yeah, no, and to be honest, I've learned a lot about myself because as soon as I started reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not sharing this with my husband. He would totally agree with this. Yeah, I think it's just being more aware of who we are, and essentially, the U.S. Soccer Pro Course. that I took this past year. I started last November and just finished this November, December timeframe. Incredible course, by the way. Very sad it was ending. Incredible colleagues within it that we all learned a lot from, and incredible instructors. It was amazing. I wish it was a part of my every year, every day type of thing. But in that, we got this company came in and did personality profiles with us on day one. And I was like, oh my gosh, and told us everything about us. And it's words that you select based off of the question they ask that profile you in a certain way. And what it does is this is who you are based off of the words you selected. And this is who you are at work when they ask the work question. So something as small as burnout, right? If I'm a high social person and my yellow dot for socials all the way this way, but at work, for whatever reason, my yellow dot's all the way this way, it can potentially predict burnout because you essentially have someone doing a role that's maybe not their natural being. They're doing something that's way less social than who they are. How do we get them in a more social setting? How do we get them in a more socialized potential role within the organization, et cetera, right? I'm trying to provide examples so it's a little bit clearer to understand. And you can, predict burnout. You can predict potential misfits in roles. And you can also start to understand the way that, people prefer to be communicated to based off of their personalities and who they are. For me, I'm the day to day. I like the day to day communication. I like the day to day connections. And I need someone on my staff that's going to balance it out. That's going to have potentially a long-term, more type of vision. Because I love the day to days. If I'm doing something and I, get asked to meet with someone quickly or chat with someone quickly, I'll find a way to figure it out and put it in my day, because if it's important to that person, I will make it work. So someone keeping me honest on more of a long-term week to week is really helpful for me. So even building my direct staff around me is really important in reference to how do they balance myself, right? Every head coach is different, Kling, and I know you know this because you've experienced so many different head coaches.
Yes,
Some
I
like to be
have.
on the pitch. Some like to be on the pitch. Some don't. Some prefer to manage. Some like their first assistant to be on the pitch, right? And there's different ways, and nothing's right or wrong. Everything's based around the environment you're trying to create. And can it be clear? Can the environment have clarity? Is it okay to be who they are and operate, but know that these are the lines, right? This is too far, this is too little, but they know this. Everyone act uniquely in that environment, but they know what the environment means, what it means to play for Racing Louisville. And that's all we're trying to consistently do is look around at the people around us. How is the staff able to connect with different players with different personality profiles, which is really important to me. No person's the same, and the world would be incredibly boring if they were. No player's the same. The world would suck if they were all the same. It would be boring to watch. So let's create a staff that can connect with different players, different people. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I'm no expert in it. The man that ran the course is an expert in it, and I was like blown away by his ability to relate to us. But I'm trying to continue to understand, and that's, in my opinion, and everyone has a different opinion, that's my opinion of leadership, is putting the right people around you. It's not about my voice and my voice being the top voice and I'm the top dog, right? It's about the ability to build a relationship and build an environment where people feel heard, people feel seen, and I want those same things for the players as I do the staff. I want them to be a part of it. They want to be a part of the journey. Some of that is going to be on the field. Some of that's going to be off the field. Some of that's going to be players playing this week, but potentially not next week. And making them feel a part of it is really important. And I've not been perfect at it, but it's what I'm striving to do.
But who's perfect? And it sounds like these personality profiles are going to help you with that 70% that you have been making the focus of your coaching philosophy. And one of the reasons probably why you won Coach of the Year in 2025. So I'm imagining that that's a highlight for you, considering that's something that you were really working on and getting better as a coach in your career. But I wonder if you could tell me a story about a smaller moment, perhaps, a time when things really clicked for a player or for your team as a whole and it felt like, yeah, I'm starting to get this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd say, and I think the big turning point that I've been very open with all last season was San Diego at home, a 4-1 loss. And just feeling like, wow, we worked so hard in preseason to create this identity. The group's so bought in, and the group is just, I'm just so grateful to coach them. I mean, I can't tell you how good of a group it is. It's just good people, and they're also very talented footballers. That's the reality. But we've recruited based off of that. We want to know a lot about their characters before they come in and what the contributions would look like. But it was after that 4-1 loss, and not many people know this, but I came back into the office, and one particular player came in the following day and said, um, I just think we veered a little bit away from what we really, really went into in preseason. We went into in preseason with this is very clear. These are our principles, these are our identity. And then we've started a few games and we've really focused on the games. But what we've created here, like in the way it was brought in, it was very professional. There was a very respectful relationship. It was very like, I don't know if it would help, but it's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's just a feeling that I have. And the fact that a player can feel that and come in that way, and to feel that this is a safe space to be able to share that, was really touching to me. I said, okay, well, this is definitely the environment I'm trying to create, right? Um, and I reflected on that and I thought about it. And 2 days later, I thought, okay, maybe we've gotten a little bit too close to game plans and haven't done a nice balance of don't forget this is who we are. This is what we've practiced the last 8 weeks. We've done unbelievable. And we went back and we said, what do these mean to us? Let's go back. Screw it. The next day we didn't recap anything. We got a whiteboard out, split them into groups. What does this mean to us? What does this mean to be on this team? And these words, what do these words mean to us? And just had an open, honest conversation. We didn't move on because it wasn't right to move on. I felt it in my gut. We don't need the normal recap. That's not what we need. We need a heart-to-heart opportunity to go, where are we at? Do we believe what we can accomplish this season is still in place? This is our low. We've hit rock bottom, guys. Here it is. But let's not fear hitting rock bottom. Guess what the only way to go is? Up. That's it. So let's work together. Let's understand each other. Let's be a part of this. Let's see what up looks like for us now. And it changed the whole season. It changed the
Wow.
whole season. And I spoke to that particular player. I said, thank you for suggesting that. Thank you for telling me what you felt. And it's different, right? It's not player going in, we need to play this way. We need to do this. We need to, that's a very different thing. And that's why I mean, there's collaboration and then there's not professionalism, right? And it was so touching to me to go, wow, I get to have that conversation with the group and we get to pinpoint when our season turned around. And we really believe it as a group. I would be curious to hear it, but I'm pretty positive the players would lean towards that when things started to change for us. We went away to Portland. We got that 3-3 tie, and things from then on out was like the belief was so strong. It was so strong, and it felt unbreakable. Even depending on the results, it was like we deserved to win that game. It was a different feeling as a coach on the sidelines this year than it was in 2024. In 2024, it was like, ooh, are we going to pull this off? In 2025, it was like, oh, just
got
keep giving us
this.
more, whatever time you're going to give
Yeah.
us.
Throw it at us. Let's go. We
Yeah,
got this. How do
exactly.
I play for Coach Bev? I feel like this is this is the exact environment that I've always wanted to be in as a player. And it's, please excuse my dog if you can hear him. He's just got back from his walk and he's pawing on the door. And there's these actual glass panels and all I can see are like two little paws going like this. And it's literally the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. So if I'm giggling a little bit, it's not because of anything here, but it's because of my dog Sesame, and he regularly makes appearances on
Sesame,
this
nice.
podcast. Yeah.
What a
He's
great name.
Oh, thank you. I can't take credit for it, but I do love him very, very much. All right, let's finish this out. How about we go with this? Bev, you won Coach of the Year. You are moving into 2026 with a group that I think you're very excited about. What
Yeah.
is your ultimate ambition as a coach?
Yes. I believe, first of all, that I was able to even be nominated, let alone win that award, because of the group here. So it wasn't just me. It was the staff and it was the players. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that. My biggest ambition as a coach is to inspire. It's to develop and to inspire. And I'm hopeful that I continue to evolve, to again continue to bring people on board that share that same view, and I'm hopeful that people feel that they are inspired and that they develop in this environment, and that they understand what it means to be a teammate, and that they feel valued as a person and a player. I think ultimately we often see football as our explanation of ourselves. We see football as our identity, but there's much more to us. There's much more to us than that. For me, that comes secondary. Know the person, and you'll know a lot more about their ways in football. So I'm hopeful to just continue to build good relationships and continue to hopefully inspire in different ways. But just grateful to be here and grateful to be in this position. And I hope I keep learning from that.
Thank you so much, Bev, for being here. This has been so fun. I've had maybe like 24 more questions that we could have gone through. I think we could have done this for maybe an hour and a half more, but I'll let you go. I know you got a lot to prepare for. Wishing you the best of luck and a lot of joy this upcoming season. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Thanks for everything. And it's so nice to see you. And, I'm always rooting for you and have a lot of respect for you. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? And O'Reilly Auto Parts is right around the corner. O'Reilly Auto Parts can help take the guesswork out of your vehicle's check engine, ABS, or maintenance light with O'Reilly Veriscan. A free service that only takes a couple of minutes to complete. You'll receive a free, easy-to-read report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans that have been verified by ASE-certified master technicians. O'Reilly Veriscan can identify the most likely problem with just one scan. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can then recommend the parts and tools you need to do the repair right the first time. And if you're not comfortable doing the repair yourself, they can recommend a local shop for you. Don't ignore check engine, ABS, or maintenance light. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today. A free service exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
That was Bev Yanez. So excited to see her coach next season in the NWSL. Okay, speaking of seasons, MLS is about to kick off, and I'm joined by my co-host, Philadelphia Union captain Ale Bedoya. Ale joins us from Trinidad. Ale, happy Lunar New Year. Happy Fat Tuesday. How are you doing, and what are you doing in Trinidad?
Yes, Kling, good to see you again and be together on this. It's great. The weather here is fantastic. We just arrived late last night, but as you mentioned, it is a happy lunar year, I guess. The celebrations out here, as they call it, the Carnival. Carnival is in full swing. So last night, even arriving late, you try to put your head down, but there's some distractions out there with the loud music and the dancing and all the wardrobes. So it's a fun time to be here.
Are you joining in?
No, of course I can't. But it's pretty cool for the island here, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, for the folks down here to enjoy it. I think there's a lot of visitors out here as well for this time of year. But we're here visiting for a different reason, and we're here to take care of business tomorrow night against Defense Force as our Champions Cup run starts.
How do you feel about playing against a team named Defense Force FC? Seems like you're going to have to work really hard to get some goals down there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think just seeing an initial video from them, I think they are a side that defensively is pretty strong. So we'll have to try to break them down. But I think it's going to be, there's no easy games in this competition. We're obviously playing away from home. We've just concluded our preseason, right? So we've spent 2 weeks out in Spain, in Marbella, and then another 2 weeks over in Clearwater in Florida. But we feel prepared, and this is kick things off our season 2026, and we're excited. We're looking forward to it. But yeah, Defense Force, I think they're they're going to be a force to be reckoned with here.
Well, you've been in the sun, Ale, so I hope you've been wearing a lot of sunscreen. And you mentioned that you just wrapped up preseason. For folks who've never endured a preseason like we have, give us a snapshot of what it's like and how the Union are getting ready to step up and be Supporters Shield winners again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, for those who follow the Union or a little bit of MLS, I think you're well aware of some of the off-season moves that happened in our club. So we lost, about 4 or 5 starters, players. So it's a big transition, but at the same time, we've brought in new bodies. We're a lot younger, so I'm sorry for the club. Unfortunately, I'm the one that raises that age level, but we are very young. We've welcomed new faces, new additions to the team who have come in and settled in right away. I think so. For those who are not familiar, the first couple of days of preseason, we report to our home markets. And get some medical tests, physical tests done out of the way. And then for us, those first 2 weeks we spent in Marbella. We traveled to Spain, which is a welcome change for a lot of us, right? Because typically here, at least with the Union, we're used to just always going down to Clearwater, Florida. So this is the second year now that we go to Spain. Nice change of scenery. Although this year, there was a lot of rain. The weather was a bit of a challenge. So it wasn't the nicest part, being in Spain. But at the same time, the facility out there in Marbella is wonderful. It's fantastic. And you're able to play some European opponents. So you get new looks at different clubs. And you're able to integrate the new guys, right? The new players, the young guys. So that first week is all about, understanding the principles of play, what the coaching staff wants out of each player, individual in their positions and their roles, and just kind of meshing together. And then the last 2 weeks we're down in Clearwater, Florida. So we were able to play a couple MLS competition down there. And it's just all about ramping up fitness, right? Getting fit, full match fitness, right? At the last game, some guys were able to play almost 90 minutes. So, we're excited to get it going. And our first game is tomorrow night, Champions Cup against Defense Force here in Trinidad. And we're all excited, looking forward to it.
You mentioned the young guys on your team, but Ale, you're aging like fine wine. And I feel like those guys, they need to ask you, how did you do it? Because not everybody gets to have a career till they're 37, 38, 39, 40 years old. It's quite a credit to you and how well you've taken care of your body and your mind and just how much you're still enjoying it. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mess with some of the younger guys because I feel like some of them in their mid-20s or late 20s, I give them a hard time just because I think I got a baby face. I was like, every time I shave, I look younger than some of these guys, But no, in all seriousness, I think, like you mentioned, there's a lot of factors that come into play. I think the mental part of it is a huge thing. The physical component, I think I'm one of those that are blessed and lucky to have married a physiotherapist by trade. So I think that has helped me prolong my career.
I would say.
Extra treatment at home and stuff like that. So I've been fortunate in that aspect. But I still enjoy it, and I think I've shown even last year that I have still some left in the tank, and I'm looking forward to this year to just kind of, whether if my role has shifted, to be that type of mentor and that player that keeps challenging guys and pushing them forward and competing day in and day out to make sure that we can be just as successful even more this season than like we were last year.
Well, you know what they say about millennials, we're still looking young, and I will hold on to that for as long as I can. But last MLS Cup was won by Inter Miami. But you and Philly obviously won the Supporters Shield. Ale, who do you think are the teams to watch this season in the MLS?
Yeah, look, well, it's no secret. Inter Miami is Inter Miami, right? I think they've gone out there and shown that even the fact that they lost 2 marquee players, legends of the game, that they've gone out in the market and stocked up again. So they're obviously going to be a favorite. I think we'll definitely be able to surprise folks as well, right? In terms of the new guys that have come in and the younger side that we have, our style of play suits this club very well. But I think, look, Vancouver showed a lot last year. I don't see them slowing down either, being in the mix. LAFC signing Dene Boanga, and they also signed this young Swedish player who's very talented. So I'm looking to see how he gets integrated into the squad. I think Nashville probably made the best offseason free agent signing maybe within the league, and Christian Espinoza. I think that adds, to that front three over there a lot. And yeah, so I think maybe some of the usual suspects perhaps, but MLS has a way of humbling teams, and there's no way you can guarantee who gets what. I think we were voted maybe like to finish like third to last season or something like that, and here we were winning Supporter Shield. So it's never fun doing these things, but it's going to be another exciting season, especially with the World Cup being here.
MLS, always pure chaos.
Always. Just how we like it.
Okay, next, sponsored by Henkel. Winning starts long before kickoff. Henkel and its family of brands, including Persil laundry detergent, got to be hairstyling products, Dial soap, and Loctite adhesives, help U.S. soccer fans and players prepare for every moment. Ale, that brings me to this question. How were you first inspired at home to pursue your soccer dreams?
Yeah, it came pretty natural. I come from a lineage of family members who just love the game, with a Colombian background. Both my grandfather and father played professionally back in Colombia. So, I was just born into the game and had a passion for it. So from very early on, my grandfather actually lived with us as well in our home. So it was always soccer on TV, on the radio, outside in the backyard, wherever it was. We were playing football, soccer all day, pretty much every day. And, Henkel would love me saying this, but there was nothing better than being inspired, playing in the backyard, kicking it with your siblings and your father and your grandfather, just shooting on net all day, every day, even in tough weather conditions in South Florida. You know how it likes to storm out there, but there's nothing like getting dirty out in the backyard and just being inspired by, my siblings and my father and grandfather.
I love that, Ollie. That is so great. Yeah, there's nothing better than getting filthy dirty in the backyard with your friends and family when you're a kid. More from Ale in just a moment, but first, we are just over 100 days from the world's biggest tournament played right here in the United States, and the stakes have never been higher for your men's national team. On March 28th and 31st, players take the field at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in their last chance to chase their dreams before the World Cup roster is selected. Watch them lay it all out on the field and be a part of history. Visit ussoccer.com and we'll see you in Atlanta. All right, last thing, Ask the Pros, our favorite segment here, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is where you can ask a question of me, David Gass, who's not here but will be in our upcoming episodes, or for Ale Bedoya, and we'll get back to you and answer it on the show. The first one is for you, Ale, and it comes from Chris in Houston. Chris in Houston wants to know, with the 2026 World Cup on home soil, what does success realistically look like for the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, that's a great question because, of course, success can be subjective, right? Like, what does success mean to me or to you or anybody else out there, Chris? But I think reaching the quarterfinals should be a realistic kind of baseline, right? Last World Cup, they reached a round of 16 against the Netherlands, right? But they're on home soil, right? They got almost what you can call, hopefully will be a home field advantage for USA. Although we know sometimes in some markets it may not be that. But I think that's the minimum level of success that they should strive for is reaching the quarterfinals. And then, of course, if you want to say how can they be super successful, what would it take for that to happen? It would have to be definitely reaching the semis, having a historic run. I think that would help put, guys like Christian Pulisic and McKennie and Tyler Adams and all these other namesake players that we have more in the mainstream, right? And they would elevate their stardom to another level. And I think that would get, more eyes on the national team and more eyes on our sport, both on the men and women's side. And if they make a successful semifinal run in the World Cup, that definitely will legitimize us as, I think like a top global soccer team.
I think you're right. There's a great chance if you look at their group, they definitely have the opportunity to play well and then move further into those rounds. And we're going to all be there behind them. But for me, from Steven in New York, I have a question. What feels different today about U.S. women's national team culture compared to your World Cup cycle? Well, I'm not in the culture today, but I am around it, and I know a lot of players that are in it. I don't think that there was anything wrong with my culture when I was in it, because it was just, that was the product of the time. But there just wasn't as much money or opportunities or places for women to be on that team. There was so many slots and they got filled, and then that was that. And those are the only players in the entire country that could make a living off of playing soccer. So they were really coveted, and people were a bit cutthroat about making sure that they were fighting for that position, which I totally get and understand. I was there too. I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to win. I wanted to lock down that left back spot. I wanted it for me. And so did everybody else. But today, there's just so much more opportunity, whether it's on the U.S. women's national team, whether you're playing in Europe or in the NWSL on your club. There's more money, there's more brand deals, there's just more exposure. I think that there's more room at the top, so there's more collaboration. And I think that the way that Emma looks at the game and the culture of what she wants to set up, the players are really bought into that. And you can feel that whenever you are around the team. So I wish that I got to be a part of that culture, but you know what? We got to lay down the groundwork for that to be a part of the sport and the way that it is today. If you have a question for Ask the Pros, drop our partners, Westwood One, a DM on Instagram at Westwood One Sports. Thank you, Ale, and thank you all for listening. And thank you to our producer, Matthew Nelson, or as I like to call him, Scottish producer Baby Man. I call him that because once we were on our trip, I think it was LA, but he took a nap like a baby. And winners never nap. Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, and never miss an episode. We'll be back next week.